Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. I am so amazed at how things have filled out. These scraggly little coleus are no longer scraggly, and these are even filling out the little impatiens. And look at this little begonia or begoniaette. Isn't it just beautiful? And look how this one has filled out this tiny little pot. It is just filling out and showing off. That's great. And these little plants are just filling out. I know they still have a ways to go, but just think what they were. Like this one wasn't even here. I transplanted it. This is a little seedling. It's just coming up. This is a little clip that I started in the window, and it's just looking great. It's short, but it's healthy looking and looks like it could go on and just become a great beauty, as well as this little dew plant. Oh, look how this little calabacoa has all bloomed out. That's so sweet too. I hope I can keep this one. You know, I always wish that every year, and so far I don't make it very far into the year, but I'm still trying. And I look at this little well, I call it a cigar plant. That's one of its common names, but I really like it, and the hummingbirds like it even more than I do. And this little pot is not as full and bright and beautiful as I want it yet, but I'm hoping that it will get there. Look, these are the ones I planted there, the sedums that I planted there last year, and they look great. And then I put two periwinkle plants on either side of this little frog, and then that's the Alternanthera that's got the pretty bright colors of a little bit of pink, a little bit of green, and a whole lot of maroon. And then there's actually also verbena on either side. So if that will just fill out and bloom and just shine, it's still going to be beautiful. And I am so loving to see these little seeds come up, and when they get big and beautiful and bloom, it's just going to be great. And they're coming up in lots of places, but there are places that they're not coming up. As a matter of fact, I spent quite a bit of time yesterday filling up some of the ones that I just don't think they were going to come up, so I tried again. And I don't know if you noticed when I put this, but I noticed when I put this little coleus here that it actually has some purple hues in this little plant, which is really going to shine off of this bright purple heart plant. And this little plant is a low-growing blue flowering campanella, and it looks like it's putting on some little buds there, so maybe it'll bloom for me. I had one of these once before, and it lasted 3 or 4 years, and then something happened to it anyway. So I tried another one last year, and it looked so healthy, and then it was gone. So I'm really watching this for snails, and hopefully I can, if they come around it, I can get something around it soon and spray it and just try to keep them off of it if it's at all possible. And that same thing goes for this little plant that I've got the obelisk above it, because it kind of is a vining plant, and it's a beautiful bright yellow. I'm hoping this one will work for me, and those two colors will play off of each other and just be beautiful. I just now noticed that I have some lilies, some of the Asiatic lilies blooming here. Well, actually just one bloom looks like, but it's very pretty. And my husband and I came out and got the blackberries. This one was not quite ripe, and then we have several that aren't nearly ripe yet, and we'll be coming to get those when they do. So hopefully we'll get at least as many as the birds do this year. So there's a couple we missed, but I got them. Of course, my husband took the others inside, and as he was going in, he said, "Do we have any ice cream?" I had to tell him 3 times we do not. I had to say not several times before he got it, because he was so ready for it to be that yes we do, but that wasn't the right answer for him this time. As much as I love seeing the little plants fill out and grow up, I hate to see them do like this. These are dying, and I'm pretty sure it's because of snails. I can just kind of tell by the way they leave them, and I did clip these off from where they had them so terribly dead looking. But these probably won't make it, so I actually did purchase a few more impatiens, and I'm going to see what I can do with those today, as I have several little places where it's empty, and a little impatient would be perfect there if the snails would just leave them alone. These, so far they haven't gotten into, but the one that was here is gone, and I'm going to try to put another one there. And maybe back here in some of these, I'm not sure about that yet. Probably this one is just too empty looking. Even if those others grow up, I think it'll have an empty spot there, and maybe even back here in this little pot. So these are the little plants that I purchased to fill up areas where nothing either came up as a seed or where the little plant that I put in it died. And in this little pot I put seeds for double yellow perfusion zinnias, but none of them are coming up. I'm so disappointed. I hope they still will, but I have a feeling they're not going to come up, so I'll probably try something else there. I used all my double perfusion yellow zinnias, but I may see if I can find something else to go there. Some of the perfusion zinnias in a different color. And if you remember, there was a tomato cage right here above this little pot, and there was a tomato in there, but it was practically dead, and I think it may not be getting enough sunlight here. So I took it out, and I just now planted some little zinnia seed in this, and they may not make it either because they also like sun, but there is some sun over here. It seems like there would be enough, so I'm not sure if that was my problem. I just don't do well with tomatoes, for one thing. But two, I am not ready to stop trying. So this is the little tomato that was over there where I just showed you, and this is the newer tomato that I purchased yesterday. So I put them both in here, and I'm going to see what they will do here. They should get plenty of sunlight, and I'm going to just see what will happen. And I see that this says Canterbury Bells, which that little seedling I had there did not make it, so there's nothing there. But these used to be little tiny seedlings, and they're getting to be bigger seedlings now. And because we are in line for 2 days of possible rains. I'm hoping we get them both days, and that it may be a great time to, you can see how they're all bunched up in one little corner, but I can spread those out a little bit while it's raining, and hopefully they will just not go into transplant shock at all, but just keep right on going. And this is my little alyssum that looked so scraggly right after I first transplanted it, but now it's looking like it belongs there. But this little plant is not doing well. This is a dew plant or an ice plant, but it could still come out of that. I'm hoping that it does. And then across from it, this little plant, which is doing good. It's not as big as the other one, but it's doing great. And then the little dew plant with it is just really going and looking great there too. This little one here kind of struggled a bit, but it never did go ahead and die, and it's definitely got its root down and is planning on staying there, I think. Pretty daylily out to show off for you today. The little roses I'm trying to start for my niece Lacey are still green, so that's great. They have lost most all of their leaves, but if they have a root now, they'll build more leaves. And so I'm hoping that these will all go ahead and make a new root and a new plant. My little pop art rose bloomed. Isn't it sweet? It is May the 31st, and what a month it has been. For that matter, what a spring it has been. This is one of my pride and joy pieces that has actually worked for me from day one, but there's many others that didn't, like this little pot right here beside it, which looks good today, but I have had to change these impatiens out. I don't even, well, actually I don't know how many times, but three times. So, but they're looking good now, and hopefully they'll keep it up. Although you never know when the snails could come along and just decide to take them all out in one pot. But so far they're looking good. This one also 3 times. Wait, I'll take it back. 2 times. Felt like 3. When you start changing everything that you've already got put in, and you think you've got it the way you want it, and then you look and realize, no, it's not alive anymore. It's dying. And the snails have been my main problem. And also these are beginning to fill out. I just love it when things begin to fill out. And I know they have a long ways to go to be full. This one I actually just put in yesterday. I went down to Janie's and to Ace, and they both had sales going, and you know I can't resist that, especially when I need some more anyway, and was able to get them on sale and finish filling these out and give them another chance to go. Look at this little coleus. I did not find many coleus this year, but the ones that I have look great, and they just need to grow. But I think they will. They will if they don't have some evil befall them, you know. But hopefully they will do well and just get better and better as the days go by. And this is another little pot that I had to do twice, but thankfully right now it's doing well, and I hope it continues on to do so. And I will spray for those snails as soon as our rainy weather is over. We do have 2 more chances of rain, and that's actually we may end up having a little bit more. I'm not sure. So I'll have to listen to the forecast and see if it's going to end then, or if we're going to keep going with a little bit more rainy season before probably the drought comes. And I am hoping this tiny little strawberry drop coleus will fill this whole pot out before the end of the season, and I know it can. I've seen it do it before. So we'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully you'll get to see it just full and lush and beautiful. I do have some places like this little pot here and this one here that just have not sprouted the little seeds that were in them. So I'm not sure if I'll get any to come up there, but I hope I do. I'm still not ready to give up. I planted some more yellow in here. I think I may have got some golden orange zinnia seeds as well as some yellow, so hopefully that will bloom and look really pretty with this blue catmint. And this is another little plant I actually planted twice, and the stem looks so thick and healthy for those snails to be getting after it, so I'm not sure what its little problem is. It looks pretty good right now, so hopefully it will stay looking that way. I moved it here on the front porch so I could definitely keep an eye on it. You know, we started out our spring with a fall spring, and then it got cold again, which we pretty much knew it would. But it was wonderful because our spring followed right after, and we weren't sure if it was another bit of the fall spring or if spring was really coming. But it did come, and it was beautiful. I'm looking longer at this because this is another one where you can tell those snails or something, and I'm pretty sure it's snail has got into this little plant. So I did replace this little white one yesterday, and I'm not sure if this is going to make it, but we're just going to have to try and hope. There's a lot of that done in a garden. So we have actually had an early start for compared to how we usually do, and it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful just that things didn't go ahead like this little row of, and some people call this sedum, and I also heard it called spurge. So whichever it is, I really do like it. But there has been times when we would have one of our spring would come and then winter would come back, and that happens a lot here in Oklahoma. We're almost sure that it will happen, but when it does, sometimes this doesn't come back, and especially if it does it a third time. Look, it's even blooming today. It looks so good. And it's so easy. These are just tiny little window box pots that I have lined up here, and it just gives it I just really like it. It's pretty to me, and it's easy unless, of course, you have to redo it. But if you don't, it just keeps on going and going and looking great. Most of the time it's just a little green plant, but what a beautiful shade of green. I love it so much when the plants begin to fill out. I don't know if you remember when we planted these. They were just tiny little plugs that were here, and they're so small, and then so many of them did get taken out by snails, but not this pot. You can tell how full it is, that it just really got a chance to keep going. And this little begonia here, it looks so good, spreading out and filling out, as well as that Colorsaurus coleus there in the back. And even though I didn't have several of my pots didn't come up, a lot of them did. The seeds, the little seedlings are coming up and just looking great for a seedling. And one day they'll pick up and make a beautiful bloom for us. Look at this little one's got seedlings coming up in it. So I love it when they do. I'm still pulling up trees, maple trees, from the little helicopter seeds that come down and go everywhere. And I read that these Calibrachoa do well in African violet soil. So I'm trying that this year. And this is another one that I got on the sale after the prices went down, and so I purchased these, and they're also in the African violet soil. So I'm hoping that will make a difference and I'll be able to grow them. And you can tell this little pot of impatiens didn't die out the first time. Now right here beside it and a little bit behind it, this one did. This is the second time for it, but so far it's looking pretty good. So if the snails will leave it alone, I think it'll be a little beauty later on. I think I just filled this little tiered pot up with the purple globe flower seed, and it's looking like it's doing pretty well, so we'll see how that will look this year. Very proud of my little lace cap hydrangea. It's looking good. And I did go ahead and move some of these plants where they would be more evenly where they would grow more evenly in this little pot. But you can tell these are all wilty today. So we did get rain last night, which I knew that would help them. So I thought they would have their better chance if I would go ahead and do it then. But the sun came out today and they're not really liking it too much. But we're supposed to have some more rain tonight, so hopefully they'll go ahead and make it. And this is another little pot that I did not have to redo. And you can tell because it's filling out so well. They've taken off, and that's the way I love to see it, when they just take off and go. And this little pot, I had to redo everything in it except for the coleus back there. But when I redid it, I did put the African violet soil in it, and so far it's doing great, so that's wonderful. We'll see how great it will do, or if it peters out again, but I'm hoping it will just billow out and look beautiful all summer long. And of course, if it makes it through summer, it may as well go on through all fall long, because it does like it a little bit cooler. The daylilies are beginning to bloom now too, because the spring season is finishing up and summer season is coming on. So I wanted to bring you down here to this beautiful bright orange, and so big. It's a very big bloom, and this is not as big as they get. They can get quite a bit bigger than this bloom, and it's big and pretty itself. And my little tomatoes still seem to be looking okay. And I didn't notice when these little allium were in bloom. Sorry, I missed those. And you know that I have been so overwhelmed with everything, especially when I started to have to redo everything. That's when I really got stressed out, to say the least. And I need to still get rid of these little chairs. I think I'm going to still try to wash them down and give them away to our local thrift store. But, you know, I got to thinking again, and I realized that we did do a lot, from getting the carport cleaned out in the little storage building here beside it. We got all this cleaned out, and the garden all cleaned out. Right there is a major thing that we had to do, is clean all of this out. I don't know how we do it, but finally, and mostly it's me, but my husband definitely does. He takes almost all of this off for me once I get it in the back of the pickup. So he helps too, and I do know how much help that is because I used to have to do that part too. But anyway, he does it for me now, and it's a great help. And we've got a lot of stuff done this summer or this spring. And not just in the garden only, because we've also done a lot of running around and visiting family. I did not get to visit my daughter. I did, though, in the earlier part of the year, so I'm so glad I did that. I definitely want to get to do that. The one that lives out of state. And I get to see the other two off and on pretty regularly, but we just, you know, you just have to do the best you can do, and I felt like I was so terribly inadequate, but when I look back I realized we did do a lot, and it does feel good. Also yesterday I found this little lamium, and it is a ground cover, so I don't really know if it'll work in this pot, but I think it would be great if it did. And as it grows, I can take the excess pieces and put them in a different spot. And this is another thing I found, this perennial rosemary plant. I had one once before and it lasted for years, but I think a wind had uprooted it at one time, and it just never did go ahead and re-root itself and establish itself. It kept trying, but it looked so puny, and then one day it gave up. So I hadn't had one for a while, and now I have one again, and even was able to get it on a sale price, so I was happy about that. I love how this little pot is filling out, and it will get fuller and more beautiful, I hope, and it already looks pretty to me. This is not quite as much, but it does also have some zinnia seed and some alyssum seed in there. I'm going to push this one back down in the ground a little bit better. And hopefully those will fill out and bloom and just fill it up and make it look gorgeous. And I didn't find any double impatiens until yesterday on sale, and it was wonderful to get this. And actually I did clip some of it off and put in other places. We'll see if that will grow, and I know this needs to come out of this, but I think it will. I think it's going to look great. Oh, look, as I'm saying that, I'm looking right over here, and I'm seeing that I have one of the Casablanca lilies, and I'll go around to the front and show you that one. But before I do, let me show you this one right here, because this is another pretty daylily, not nearly as big, but very pretty. So this is the front of that beautiful Casablanca Asiatic lily. It's so pretty and it smells so good. And last night when I came out and was looking after I got finished planting at about 8:30 last night, but I looked at this pot and it had snails in it. They were fixing to eat it all night long, but luckily I caught them in time, got them out of there, and it's still looking healthy today, and I hope it continues on to be healthy and look good all season long for our enjoyment. And I wanted to show you that I also purchased this little not miniature, but the smaller sized butterfly bush, and it's this pretty purplish color. I've tried the Black Knight several times, which look a lot like this, but they just haven't made it for me, and I've read that they have a hard time making it through our winters because they rot. They have root rot, but these are supposed to do better, and I thought, oh, this would be so pretty, this pretty bright purple up against these, and they will open up to that same bright orange that I just showed you a little bit ago in the front. gardens. So I'm happy to have this one. I now have one in the front and one in the back. This one's a little darker. The other one has I think it's a kind of I want to say blue, but it's probably more like a lavender blue, maybe. It hasn't really bloomed that much since I got it, but I think they will. This is their first year. They'll work on their root first. They're smart little plants. You know, they got to get their foundation before they can grow upward. I also found some more Dusty Miller, and I needed some for this little pot. I always like to have some when I put in another trailing plant, and usually it's the Dichondra, but this time I found this pretty Artemisia, cascading Artemisia, and it's supposed to be a perennial. Hopefully it'll come back in this pot, and I love it, and I hope it, you know, just will keep on looking great. But I still think that having these Dusty Millers in there with it just brings it out, that pretty powder blue, all the more. This is another pretty Asiatic lily. This one is not the big Casablanca, but still very pretty, and especially with those blue larkspur just kind of highlighting them. So I definitely do want to get busy. The sun was out, but right now it's kind of going behind a cloud, and there's a little bit of a breeze, so it feels very good. And I have so much to do, and I definitely want to get some of everything that I can get done before the heat of summer comes on, because I almost assuredly will not be able to do it in that heat. And one of those things is to trim off this evergreen around the edges so that it doesn't just shade out my iris or this new Nandina that I purchased yesterday. My friend has one of these, and it's so beautiful, and she says it gets even more pretty in the fall when all these colors, these leaves turn beautiful fall colors. Right now it has a pretty white bloom on it, so I'm anxious to get to enjoy this plant. But as I read about it to see if it needs sun or shade, and it does need sun or part shade, so I need to get it also this shade away from it somewhat. But I also found out that it has berries that are poisonous to birds and animals and even humans. So not that humans would be eating the berries, but I don't know. They suggested to get rid of it, and I'm like, I'm just now getting it, and I think it's going to be a beautiful little colorful bush and that I'll enjoy. So I'm going to leave it for a while and see what will happen. They did say if you don't get rid of it, at least cut off the berries when they come on before the birds find them and begin to devour them, because it can kill them. I don't really want to kill the birds. I enjoy having the birds in the garden. But definitely getting this clip back is one of those jobs I want to do today, so I'm going to try to get going on that. And actually, I don't know why this one has not done well. I've kept it watered good. I don't see that it's getting too much sun, and it's getting shade, like a filtered shade, so I don't know. It's certainly not doing well though, but I hope it'll make it. But basically what I did with all my new little annuals, like you can tell this one did well, and it's already filled out, but this is a new little annual. This is a white lantana, and it should fill out all the rest of this side. If it does well, I certainly hope that it does. But every place where things didn't make it, or where the snails had taken them out, I put another little plant, or I tried to get another little plant going. I may have missed some spots, but I tried to just get everything filled up that I possibly could. and hopefully that'll work and look great, and I can stop planting. I'm ready to stop planting. I enjoy it very much, but actually more enjoyment is of watching it grow and thrive and be beautiful. But now it can, because it has enough plants in each pot. Well, maybe not each pot. This is kind of a little not water garden, but a bog garden, and it may be draining too well for these plants I have in here, but I'm going to try it, because some of these are the large dinner plate Japanese iris, and I'm anxious to see them in bloom. This is the meadow rue, and it may look bad right now, but the reason it does is because it's had, let me get this in focus for you if I can, but it's had the caterpillars, the butterfly caterpillars, eating on it, and I've seen several in the garden after they've become actual butterflies, so they're always fun to see. I don't know if you can tell, but this little one got moved. It was right over here with these two, and there was nothing on this side, so I did move it, but you can tell it's already coming out of its little transplant shock that it went into. And I cleaned out some of my blue spruce sedum in the front tiered pot, which definitely needed it because they were just so full, they were choking themselves out. So, and I just put it out here. I literally just laid it out here, just threw it out there and put a little bit of dirt over it, because I thought while we're having these rainy days, they'll be its best chance to go ahead, and hopefully we'll get something going in this little area where I hadn't been able to get anything to grow. And here's more of the bright orange. This is called Screaming Orange Daylily. It's even prettier when this little plant here beside it is a blue balloon flower, and when they bloom together they really look good. So that is just about all of the May tour. You can definitely tell that spring is here and that it's doing good. We're getting things filled up and ready to go, and you can also tell that summer is coming on from this butterfly weed, bright butterfly weed, to all the pretty daylilies blooming. I love the larkspur, but I will want to come out here and pull up the biggest portion of this, because you can just put down so many seed that it can shade your other plants out. So I found that out the hard way. So I don't want to just keep them. I thought they're so wonderful. They just grow up with everything else, and they don't choke them out. And really they don't choke them out, but they will shade them out. So I will go ahead and get rid of some of these. These are all seeds. There's several in each little pod there, and when they get dry, they'll just break open, fall down, and just go everywhere, and just be so many of them if you don't just do something to kind of keep them from being so much. Even though I do totally love them, you can tell the bees love them too here. But I will want to go ahead and do that too. It's like there's, no end to it, just like housework. You do something and you just have to go and do it again. Every time something beautiful comes up in the garden, well, not every time, but a lot of the time, as soon as it finishes, you've got to either deadhead it or pull it out, like some of the Sweet William, which I love. It's a beautiful spring flower. Let me just go over here. They're not so beautiful right now because they are going out, but this little clump right here is still looking pretty good. And that they will just totally die. All the foliage and everything will die, but they will put down seed and come back. As a matter of fact, I think they're even either perennial or biennial, and they will come back next year, but definitely from seed. And I do let most all of these fall, but I do try to clean them up after they begin to die or after they're dead, because they just look so unsightly then. But they're there every spring, and they last longer than most of the spring plants. You can see spring is almost over and these are still holding on. This is a Copper King hibiscus, and I have on the other end, let's see if I can pull it up with this, I have a pink ruffled Carolina, and I used to have a Lord Baltimore red, but I lost it, and I had the maroon red, big pretty. Both of those are beautiful, and I do want those again someday. Right now I'm not exactly sure where I would put them, so I'm not in any great big hurry, although if I found one on sale, I'd probably go ahead at a really good price. I would go ahead and purchase one and find a spot for it. But these are some of the Sweet William that's beginning to go. It's beginning to, you can probably see the seed in this one. So I will wait until it dries enough I can shake the seed out. And if it leaves a pretty little green, I'll leave that too. But they don't always, and I've already taken this one off, clipped it back, but you can tell they just totally die. And I don't want that in the garden. If I get time, I'll definitely take the old dead ones down to the root. This was one pot that everything died out of practically, and I had mostly sun plants here, and I didn't realize it got that much shade because I think they just didn't get enough sun. So anyway, whatever the reason, I went ahead and put some impatiens for the shade here, and hopefully these will fill out and do great all summer long too. I'm excited about them all because once they get going, they usually just get fuller and better. So happy end of spring, and I hope you have a wonderful summer. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.